Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. The topic today is why was Europe able to conquer Africa whilst we had huge, well-organized empires way back from the 1st century and beyond, right up to the 16th century when Europeans entered Africa. Why were they able to conquer us so easily? I have 5 reasons I've set out and afterwards put out to the floor, and everybody will give their own opinions. First reason is diversity. Africa, human beings originated from Africa, and naturally we are the most genetically diverse makeup of the planet. We have countless different languages spoken within a small region, let alone the whole of Africa, resulting in the most disunited race of people with thousands of tribes and small units. An example of this, Sierra Leone is supposed to have 23 languages in the small area of 27 square miles in the west coast of Africa. Nigeria, which is slightly larger, has over 500 languages, and Kenya has over 68 different languages. South Africa is said to have 34 different languages and tribes. It was almost impossible to unite as one homogeneous group with a Pan-African identity. And this made it easy for Europeans to pit one tribe off against another and divide and conquer. So that was the first reason. We did not see ourselves as one united group. The second reason is we had valuable resources. Africa is the wealthiest continent in the world, and this attracted foreigners with envy in their mind. For instance, Mansa Musa of the Empire of Mali is said to be the richest man ever to have lived. His wealth estimated in today's currency was over $400 billion. Elon Musk, our present richest man in the world, who is a European from South Africa and America, his net worth is $367 billion, less than Mansa Musa's $400 billion. Mansa Musa got his wealth from gold, salt, trade, and an educational institute in Timbuktu University that attracted students from all over the world. And these valuable resources, we also had manpower that the Europeans envied. So the Arab and Atlantic slave trade devastated the African population and caused a huge brain drain, which happened as a direct consequence of the richness and diversity of Africa. The greed of foreigners who desired to acquire the wealth of Africa for nothing without paying much or just paying a pittance. The second reason, the valuable resources and the manpower that we had, the brain drain that left Africa as huge amounts of people left the continent, and we were the poorer for it. So therefore they were able, and because we were disunited, they were able to pit us one against the other. And we had slave trade in Africa before, but we did not treat them as the Europeans treated the slaves that they had from Africa. We treated them as humans, and we accepted their humanity. The third reason, desertification of the Sahara region of North Africa. North Africa was once teeming with vegetation, according to ancient arts of work that we have, and was populated by Black Africans. But however, they lacked the science of tree planting, and climate change also happened over a few years, causing mass migration southwards and famine. leaving a vacuum for the Arabs to invade and conquer and enslave the remaining population. So this was a natural occurrence of desertification of the Sahara Desert. That was one of the reasons why Africa was weak. We escaped famine, and there was mass migration to the south, to what is known as West Africa. Those were the people who inhabited the ancient North Africa before and made empires out of it. So, and the desertification happened because of climate change and a lack of tree planting and conservation. A fourth reason, human error. Although not all tribes in Africa attribute, but mostly the vast amount of Africans admired morality and had a high moral code. And they mistakenly thought that the Europeans would also adhere to this moral behavior. And the thought was that it was natural to all humans. They did not see that Europeans had greed and envy in their hearts, and they were willing to do anything for greed and refused to pay the right price for the goods, and treat Africans as partners. I have three examples for this. The Oba of Benin, Oba Owari, is said to have predicted the fall of the Benin Empire, but still welcomed the Europeans as this was the right moral thing to do. He is said to have said, "Never let a stranger suffer, and whatever else you may do to a foreigner, you must not kill him. Forgive his transgressions, because he does not know the law of which we live by. Give him time and teach him the law of your land." This is a nice principle, but unfortunately the Europeans had only one aim for Africa: to loot, to kill, to destroy, and to control. And just as he predicted, 500 years later, the Empire of Benin fell under British armies. Another king was King Pi of Kush, whose statue is on for you to see. King Pi of Kush conquered Egypt because he said that the foreigners of Egypt were destroying its glory. And even though he conquered Egypt, he did not put to death the former foreign rulers of Egypt and forgave them, and even in time gave them positions of power in his kingdom. This was a mistake. Other Kushite kings did the same. However, these foreigners were not loyal to Kush and eventually overthrew the Kushite Empire and ruined it. Another king was King Nzinza of Mobemba of Congo. He converted to Christianity and adhered to the Christian command of love, but was puzzled when the missionaries who converted him were so cruel and ruthless to his people and did not practice what they preached, and practiced the brutal slave trade. Slaves in Africa were assimilated into our families, and treated as such, and even allowed to buy their freedom, and practiced forgiveness. That's the fourth reason why Africa fell. The fifth reason why Africa fell was religion. Africans who converted to Islam and Christianity really believed, and practiced the love the love command of Christ, and often practiced the new religion over their state security. Example, King Nzinga of Mobemba of Congo, which we've just stated earlier. Also, the Songhai Empire leaders complained about the cruelty of the Arab slave trade, claiming that this was not the way to treat fellow Muslim brothers. However, it fell on deaf ears, as the Arabs only saw Africans as cash cows they could exploit, despite what their religion stated. Whilst the Africans really believed in Allah, And the Arabs were hypocrites, dealing cruelly and brutally with African slaves. Yet the Africans still held on to the new religion, believing that they were doing God's will by forgiving the Arabs and the Europeans, and used religion for control and subjecting the Africans and twisting the minds of innocent children to believe that they were inferior and it was God's will for them to suffer. This is a picture of a Christian missionary with a 15-year-old Congolese boy whose hand had been cut off by Belgian authorities for not meeting his quota of gold for King Leopold. And here he is taking a picture of it and proudly saying that this is the punishment for Africans who do not work for next to nothing or free for the Belgian King Leopold II, who, by the way, killed tens of millions of Africans, far more than Hitler did in Germany. For the 5 reasons I put where Africa was easily conquered, there may be some more, and I'll open the floor to you to say what you believe.
Back at the time for the empire, the main problem was the inside. There were too many traitors among us, because a people can only be destroyed from the outside if they are first weakened from within, and it was the problem. If you take the example of alcohol, the white people didn't bring alcohol to Africa. We had our own alcohol, our way to make alcohol that time. What did they bring? Whiskey, just alcohol in bottle. We used to drink alcohol before the white people came. So I think it's my opinion that the main problem was and still is the inside. There were traitors among us, and you can see it through the time. When you see Sankara, Lumumba, and so on, it's the same story that is repeating itself. We have traitors among us, and it makes our country inside wicked, so that from the outside they can have us. So I think, for my side, I think the main problem or the main reason was the inside. We were not with traitor inside us, and still now in 2025, it's the same problem that we have in Africa or in the Black community. We have traitors that can sell our countries and our people for nothing. And they were the same that received these guns and this alcohol, this salt, whatever, to sell the other people, or to give the wickedness of the country, of the kingdom, of the empire, or to kill the king, and so on. So to keep it short, I think that the main problem was and still is the inside.